Hello there guys, and so this is your good uncle Adrian once again, and in today's video I'd like to show you my recent purchase, my dream, an American muscle car Pontiac TransAm. I've been looking for this car for quite a while now, and I had a choice of buying the Camaro Z28 Trans-Am or the C4 Corvette, and the reason why I've chosen the Trans-Am is I think in the UK this is the rarest of the lot, and it just looks the best in my opinion, considering all the cars have the same engine, which is the LT1 5.7 liters V8. You know, the best styling and functionality comes from a Trans-Am. Why do I think that? Well, I'll tell you in a minute. But before I start, let me just tell you something about the brand itself. Well, the Pontiac is an American brand, which unfortunately is not present anymore. They stopped producing those legendary cars, and the Trans-Am is, I think, the most famous vehicle of that family, Pontiac's family. The famous Smokin' Bandit Trans-Am, featured in Burt Reynolds' film. This is the fourth generation of the Trans-Am. They call it the F-body, which shares the engine and the platform and transmission and some other components with the Camaro Z28 and the Corvette C4, which I mentioned before. This particular example is the 1997 model, so the last release of fourth generation before the facelift, before they were equipped with the 5.7 liters LS1 engine, which was derived from the C5 vet. This is a lovely example, fantastic condition, with all the goodies like American racing wheels, which are chromed and they look astonishing. Obviously T-tops. This is a 6-speed manual, and what's very interesting about that is that transmission is taken from first generation Dodge Viper. And let me remind you what it is. Viper is an 8-liter V10 400 horsepower monster, so in that application it's gonna do the job easily. What else? Yeah, 6-speed T-tops, LT1 5.7 liters V8, leather interior, and which is very cool because the car is red and the leather is red as well, so it makes it a bit more interesting. Modifications of this car, quite a few really. Well, first of all, the wheels are not stock. They retail for about 900 quid or even £1,000 from what I know. The exhaust, full Borla cutback exhaust, which sounds mean, and by the way it's a stainless steel exhaust, so you have it for life, no rust problems whatsoever. Electric exhaust cutout, which is a little device mounted at the rear of the exhaust, and basically you flick the little knob inside the car and then the exhaust's open and it sounds unreal. And then you're going for MOT or whatever, it's, you know, at night time and you're just cruising around, you simply close the valve and then it's quiet. It just purrs like a nice V8. What else? SLP cold air intake, which I'll show you in a minute, and obviously all those modifications will improve the acceleration and you know, performance in general. Those LT1s, 5.7 liters, make around 285 horsepower stock without any mods, which is good for 0 to 60 in about 6.2 seconds, and a top speed for about 150-155 miles an hour with the manuals at least. So SLP cold air intake dedicated for this model will give you extra 20 horsepower. The exhaust, according to Borla, will give you between 5 and 7% of horsepower. So you add it all and you gain another 30, I don't know, maybe 35 horsepower. So this particular example should make a genuine 315 and 320 horsepower. So that isn't bad at all. Other modifications is the spark plugs, which apparently also better the fuel economy. The transmission has been modified as well. Well, not transmission, it's actually, well it is, yeah, the gear ratios. It's got the 373 gears. Sorry, we've got a vehicle coming. So what it does is it basically makes the gear ratios a bit shorter, so at the expense of top speed you gain better acceleration. And let me tell you something, this vehicle is just, I don't know how to describe it. The acceleration of this vehicle is just ridiculous, right? The amount of torque and power plus the 6-speed with short gears, it just pushes you in a seat like I can't even describe it. 0 to 60 comes up in about 5.1, 5.2 seconds according to my measurements, which, you know, considering the weight of the car, is just unbelievable. Other modifications: competition clutch, so it's a kind of on and off clutch. It doesn't feather really well, but you can get used to it. It took me about maybe 5 days and I knew what I'm doing. The clutch seems to be indestructible because I've tried some burnouts and, you know, you just can't feel any smell of burning clutch whatsoever, and the wheels, the tires just get liquefied basically, so the clutch does the business very well. Yeah, so let's take a look at the interior of the Trans Am. Okay, I apologize for the state of the car. It's a bit dirty, but you know, you're meant to drive it, not clean it. So 6-speed manual, Momo steering wheel, red leather, lovely condition T-tops. If you take a look at the headlining, no damages whatsoever. So this is the rear, okay, that's your seat belts for the rear, and this is your cargo space, which I'll show you in a minute as well. And this is why I've chosen the Trans Am, because it's got 4 seats, so it's got some functionality. You can take the roof off, so it's like, you know, having a convertible really. It's a big and roomy car. There is tons of space for people sitting at the front, not too much for people sitting at the back, but, you know, for emergency you do have some space. It's got a cruise control. Mine unfortunately hasn't got the aircon because it's been removed. However, what I've got, the additional radiator for extreme conditions. Right, obviously power windows, power mirrors, central lock. Right, let's take a look at the cargo space. So this is what we've got. Don't forget, this is a performance car. However, I would call it quite a decent cargo space. This is, by the way, the place where you store your T-tops. So you take them off, put them here, and you've got a kind of convertible. The funny thing is, to do it all, it takes literally 1 minute, and to put them back on, again, just 1 minute. So quite an amazing invention that is. Okay. Sorry, it's very dirty, but I don't care. As long as it goes to hell, that's what I want. People's main concern about that kind of cars is the maintenance and fuel economy. Well, the maintenance might be expensive in Europe because obviously the car is manufactured, well, has been manufactured in America, so getting parts from States might be costly. Oh, meanie. But don't forget, these are hefty, sturdy cars, so they don't break down often, especially when you just drive them, when you don't molest them. The fuel consumption, well, in my opinion, is just great. Don't forget, we're talking about almost 6 liters V8, so it's a very huge and powerful engine. And my average was, this is by the way a Canadian version, and the speedo and the mileage is shown in kilometers, so I'll tell you what it does in kilometers. I've actually checked it yesterday. This was the second time of my fuel economy test, and it did 100 kilometers using 16 liters of fuel. So I don't know what it goes into miles a gallon, but that's a bloody good result, because I know people who drive 2.5 liters BMWs or even 2 liters Fords with automatic transmissions, and the fuel consumption is pretty much the same. So that's quite amazing. And that 16 liters per 100 kilometers was a combined sort of style of drive. So there was a bit of a bonker style and there was a bit of a cruising. Okay, right. Because we're inside, another thing I wanted to show you is the pop-up lights. The way I put them on is simply turning this knob to the right. Boom, boom, lights on. Boom, boom, lights off. So let's take a look. Lights out, lights down. You can see how healthy the motors are. There is no hesitation, they just go up and down, nice and easy. Oh yeah. And so, clutch in and let's fire it up. So very nice start, totally unproblematic. I love those gauges. And what I love even more is how quickly the right hand side hand goes up. Okay, so let's rev it up a bit. Yep, no joke, man. I'll close the doors for a moment. That's sick, isn't it? Right, let's go outside. Okay guys, also let's take a peek under the hood. And so this is the 5.7 liters V8 in American units. It's a 350 cubic meters of displacement. As you can see, colder intake from SLP. According to this manufacturer, you should be getting around 20 horsepower plus a few pound of torque as well. Nice clean engine. And it provides tons of fun, let me tell you that. Now the next thing is, how does it drive? Well, in few words, it drives amazingly, right? Let alone the sound of it, the way it looks, and it turns heads everywhere it goes. For people at the front, very roomy, comfortable, just a fantastic cruiser. You put the foot down, amazing acceleration, sound and all that. So how does it drive? Well, don't forget, it's a huge car. You've got a bit of a difficulty with parking it. You know, the hood is just so long. However, it just takes a few days to get used to it, so no problem at all. The stereo system, not the best. Don't forget, this is 1997, so obviously it's still a cassette. And the speakers, rather average as well. Air conditioning, well, I can't tell you because I haven't got it, it's been removed. Suspension, well, mine has been totally modified. Oh, sorry, somebody's calling me. And so, yeah, where are we? Yeah, so the drive quality. Yeah, my suspension has been totally modified. You know, all the shocks plus the springs have been replaced, so it's really stiff now. So any little pothole on the road, you will feel it in your spine. So I can't really describe this. But from what I know, American cars are quite plush, especially for late 90s muscle cars like Camaros, Corvettes and Transams. They'll have tremendous acceleration. Well, the whole engine thing is just amazing. Brakes, not bad at all. People say they don't stop. Well, they used to not stop, but they do now. However, yes, they are quite soft on the knees if it's about cornering. But, you know, what I always say to people is, so you're telling me you're going to be going 120 miles an hour for the corner, right? Tell me where. And second of all, tell me with what car. I mean, what skills have you got? Even if you had a Nissan GTR, you will not be doing it because you've got no place for it and you've got no skills for it. So it doesn't really matter if you can do 120 miles an hour in a corner because you just won't do it. So what you need is fantastic look, sound, and great straight line acceleration, which is what you get with American muscle cars. So just to sum up, I do recommend this car to pretty much any performance fans. If you like attention, yeah, it's a car for you. If you don't like attention, don't buy it because it pivots heads everywhere you go. And yeah, that's pretty much it about the Trans Am. I'm pretty sure I forgot about some things which are important. If you have any questions, simply comment it in the comment section. I'll try to respond. But in general, awesome piece of kit.